Huggy Wuggy is one of the most mysterious characters in Poppy Playtime. We know barely anything about him, yet he's one of the most well-known characters in this game. From giving us keys and watching us progress into the factory, to chasing us down until our very last breath, the true story behind Huggy Wuggy is one that's never been solved. But by analyzing secret hints and lore put into these games, we can piece together the true story behind Huggy Wuggy. Ever since the very start of Poppy Playtime, Huggy Wuggy has been the main villain people think of whenever they imagine the Poppy Playtime franchise. Huggy Wuggy was always seen as a huge threat. I mean, he's the giant blue monster that chased us through the vents, and the infamous face that made Poppy Playtime into the horror phenomenon it is today. But what if that wasn't the case? What if everything we thought we knew about Huggy Wuggy was completely wrong? Well, in this video, I've gathered 4 pieces of evidence that could possibly prove Huggy Wuggy's innocence, and maybe even solve the entire Poppy Playtime story. Ready? Let's get into it. To start off, let's go back to when we first meet this guy, because Huggy's behavior during chapter 1 is actually really strange and is probably our best piece of evidence towards this theory. When we first arrive at the factory and see Huggy, he's not the monstrous toy that we usually know him to be. He just stands there in his mascot toy form, completely still. As we move through the puzzle at hand, suddenly the power goes out and we have virtually nowhere to go. At this point, we would have been stuck, and if not for one thing, the game would have ended here. But little did we know, Huggy had just pulled out a key to help us move further into the factory. Hold on. To clarify, he literally hands us the key that we need in order to progress deeper into the factory. Thinking back, why would a monster that's supposedly a ruthless hunter go out of its way to help us? Even after this, Huggy continues to act strange. Instead of going in for the kill, we constantly see him watching us from a distance. You can literally catch his hand leading the player in the right direction, or just watching us from afar. No jump scare, no attack, just observing. If Huggy was truly evil, why didn't he strike earlier? Why wait until later in the game to chase us? The only possible answer that really makes sense here is that Huggy wasn't trying to hurt us. There's a strong possibility that Huggy was actually guiding us through the factory, leading us deeper, yes, but Huggy wasn't leading us deeper to trap us. He was watching us the entire time, and it was only when we got too close to Poppy's door that everything changed. That's when Huggy finally changed for the worse. Now, this is where most people go, well, obviously he's evil, he chased us through the vents trying to kill us, and that's fair, but let's look at this a little deeper. Huggy only begins chasing us once we've solved the last major puzzles and are just steps away from releasing Poppy. It's not some random attack, it's a very specific moment. Up until this point, we've been solving power circuits and unlocking new rooms, and Huggy hasn't come anywhere near us. But the second we're about to reach Poppy's cage, he snaps. So what if this wasn't a hunt? What if it was desperation? If Huggy knew what was behind that door, and if he knew what releasing Poppy would mean for the rest of the factory, then maybe the vent chase wasn't about trying to kill us, but instead it was about trying to stop us. And the more I think about this, the more sense it starts to make. Huggy chose to let us deeper into the factory with his key. Much like Kissy Missy, he helped us progress into the factory because he didn't know what we were up to. We entered this factory with one goal, however: find the flower. The flower that marked Poppy's room. But Huggy didn't know this. Huggy didn't realize this was our intention. Perhaps, if we are to assume that Poppy isn't who she claims to be, this all starts to make a little more sense. You have to admit, Huggy helping us out until this point is not something that we can easily ignore. And the only thing that fits this narrative is if we assume that Poppy is hiding something deeper from us, which isn't that uncommon of a theory in the community. In fact, our talk with the doctor in chapter 4 reveals exactly that.
Poppy told you her story, of course. Innocence is bliss, and she is oh so innocent. Has she not strung you along, betrayed you, and told you only what you needed to know to do exactly as she asked?
Poppy has some darker intention. While it might be true that she's working against the prototype, that doesn't make her inherently good, and I think Huggy knew exactly that. For me, at least, Huggy isn't sided with the prototype or Poppy. I mean, if he was with the prototype, he would have killed us in the first chance he got, as did every other follower of his. Then again, although this theory does have a lot of evidence, there is a big problem. If Huggy's truly on our side and only wants us to realize that Poppy and the prototype have evil intentions, why would he have been attacking us at the end of chapter 4? Why would he help us enter the factory only to be at our throats now? At this point, this whole theory behind Huggy being innocent kind of falls apart. Sure, we still have the question of his behavior in chapter 1, but it's not exactly explained why he's still angry at us. While it could be because we let Poppy out, that answer just doesn't feel right to me. There has to be something deeper, something that makes just enough sense. But taking a closer look at this scene, there's a key detail that we missed out on. Right as Huggy starts to appear aggressive, we see red gas appear to be flooding us at the bottom of our screen. Why this is important is because it practically lets us assume one thing. Huggy might not actually be trying to kill us here. To explain, let me take you all the way back to Poppy Playtime chapter 3, in which we are introduced to this same red gas and start hallucinating a dream about Huggy Wuggy. This state of Huggy Wuggy is monstrous and ghost-like and wants to kill us, as if when hallucinating, our interpretation of this guy is that he is a high-level threat. So seeing the red gas here, we can't fully trust what we're seeing. How do we fully know that Huggy is trying to kill us? What if this is actually Huggy trying to take us out of the red gas before we suffocate in it? While looking back at chapter 3 and its actual main story, one key detail kept sticking out to me. The main reason that we're in chapter 3's location, Playcare, is so that we can redirect the same red gas to a new area. We aren't giving any explanation as to how or why this is necessary, but Ollie and Poppy both ensure that it is needed. Ollie and Poppy, which, knowing that Ollie is none other than the prototype, things start to line up pretty nicely. Whatever this red poppy gas is, it's important. It makes us hallucinate toys into much scarier and stronger versions of themselves. It makes us fall asleep. It makes us unable to function normally. But back to our theory, once Huggy realized that we were on our way to let Poppy out, he had to stop us at all costs. And once Poppy was released, she wasted no time working with Ollie, or the prototype, to redirect and fix where this gas is flowing. So whatever this is doing, it's clear that it's not good. And seeing as how at the end of chapter 4, we're stuck in a room flowing with it, Huggy clearly has the opportunity to just leave us in there to die on our own, but instead, he's banging on the window, making a way out. When you truly take everything into context, whether Poppy is working with the prototype or not, it seems like Huggy is the one character who isn't really on either side. But unfortunately, the only way that we can find this out for ourselves is by waiting for the next game to drop. But yeah, there's probably one of my best and most comprehensive theories I've ever made. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. And while you're down there, why not subscribe? Watch the video on screen next, and thank you so much for watching.